Alright, YouTube, so I got one here from the Associated Press titled Biden Rips, quote, White Man's Culture, end quote, regrets Anita Hill hearing. Reading, former Vice President Joe Biden condemned, quote, a white man's culture, end quote, Tuesday night as he lashed out against violence against women and more specifically lamented his role in the Supreme Court confirmation hearings that undermined Anita Hill's credibility. Nearly 3 decades ago, that was during I believe, the Clarence Thomas nomination process, or rather the confirmation process. Very similar to what happened with Kavanaugh, like in terms of the media coverage and the narrative. It was kind of a precursor to Me Too, actually. So, Biden, a Democratic presidential prospect who often highlights his white, working class roots, said Hill, who is African American, should not have been forced to face a panel of, quote, a bunch of white guys, end quote. And quoting again, that sounds funny. To this day, I regret I couldn't come up with a way to give her the kind of hearing she deserved, end quote. He said, echoing comments he delivered last fall as the nation debated sexual misconduct allegations against Brett Kavanaugh amid his Supreme Court confirmation hearing. Excuse me. Later in his Tuesday remarks, Biden called on Americans to, quote, change the culture, end quote, that dates back centuries and allows pervasive violence against women. Quote, it's an English jurisprudential culture, a white man's culture. It's got to change, end quote, Biden said. The 76-year-old Democrat delivered the remarks at a New York City event honoring young people who helped combat sexual assault on college campuses. The event, held at a venue called the Russian Tea Room, was hosted by the Biden Foundation and the nonprofit group It's On Us, which Biden founded with former President Barack Hussein Obama in 2014. Biden is perhaps the last high-profile Democrat who has yet to announce his or her her 2020 intentions. He has a small team of political operatives laying the groundwork for a run, but he has acknowledged publicly in recent weeks that his entrance in the presidential race is no sure thing. Biden's role in the 1991 Clarence Thomas confirmation hearings are among his political challenges as he weighs his place in today's Democratic Party. Should he run, he would be among a handful of white men in a Democratic presidential field that features several women and minorities. In remarks that were rambling at times and spanned more than a half an hour, Biden repeatedly denounced violence against women. It's a topic Biden knows well. As a senator, he introduced the Violence Against Women's Act in 1990. Quote, no man has a right to lay a hand on a woman no matter what she's wearing, she does, who she is, unless it's in self-defense. Never, end quote, he said Tuesday. He then shared a conversation he had with a member of a college fraternity. Quote, if you see a brother taking Quote, if you see a brother taking an inebriated co-ed up the stairs at a fraternity house and you don't go and stop it, you're a damn coward, end quote, Biden said. Quote, you do not deserve to be called a man, end quote. And that's the article from a person called Steve Peoples, a AP national politics writer. Wow, there's a lot to dissect here. We have Joe Biden, he's going out there, he's virtue signaling, he respects women. And yes, this article makes a good point in that, his role in the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearing is not going to resonate well. I always use the index of the Jimmy Dore crowd to kind of gauge, what they think of the candidates, especially in the Democratic field. I can already guess what they're going to say about the Republicans, but when it comes to the Democrats, they notice things that I don't notice. Like this, for me, I'm all about due process. So Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh, two of the same kind of guys that, or rather, they faced similar situations. It's just amazing. It's amazing how much willing blindness there is when it comes to believing all women. And a quick shout out to Owen Benjamin, by the way, because he made a really funny video. It was titled "It's Time to Believe All Women," and it was a really good video. And it was basically just saying like, look, yeah, like, you know, all these people that are saying that they're believing all women, but he's saying it very tongue in cheek. He's kind of doing it in a satirical fashion, I guess. He was trying to say like, yeah, this is how fucking ridiculous it sounds when people go around saying, oh, well, I believe all women. It's like, well, whatever happened to due process in this country, whatever happened to our Fifth Amendment, the right to not self-incriminate, and among other amendments. Was it like the Sixth, right to speedy trial? Fourth, right to resist search and seizure without a proper warrant. I guess you throw in the First Amendment in there, the Second Amendment, you can defend yourself. Anyways, getting a little off track here, but yeah. In closing, I'll just say that with Joe Biden, I don't think he's guaranteed to enter the race at all. So that would definitely put a spear in my predictions. Like, I was just assuming he was going to run. If he is aware of, like, among other things, the memes that are on Facebook and Twitter and the poll and all the rest about Joe Biden, it's like he's kind of walking into a lion's den. He has a lot of skeletons in his closet. There's a lot of very solid documentation of what he's done over the years, and that's just scratching the surface, in my humble opinion. I think he's guilty of far worse than he's been recorded doing on tape. It's insane. So yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I will see you later.